Hello and welcome back to my channel. So today I will share with you how to avoid redundancy in research writing and what are the most common reasons why research papers are rejected from journals. So this is a very important topic. Let me go a little bit into the background. So there are many common mistakes that researchers do when they write a research paper, and that is to use a redundant amount of words that are not suggested to be used in a journal writing. So I will just give you a little bit background about this, that in research writing you need to avoid redundancy and you need to focus on the topic that is at hand, that what topic you want to explore in this paper and how you are doing, because scientific writing is very different from normal writing. Like normally you write an essay, so you want to increase the length or something, but in scientific writing we want to be as concise as possible. Also, I will discuss some common reasons why research papers are rejected. So coming into the contents of this presentation, firstly I will discuss what is redundancy, then writing concisely and avoid redundancy, and also I will discuss some common reasons why research papers are rejected. So in the background you can see that the research is interesting but the manuscript is not well written. So this issue can affect in the impact of your work before rejection and after publishing. So before and after publishing, how? Because before publishing, if your paper contain a lot of redundant words, then it may cause rejection, because the reviewer or the people who are reading your work will not be interested. So they will just simply reject it and it won't publish. But if it's published, then after that, if someone want to read your paper and they don't understand the point, so they won't cite it in their own work because they are not getting the point what you want to do. So the main point is that you choose good readability, which is beyond the technically correct English grammar. You no need to focus so much on the English grammar. You just need to give your point in a clear way. So scientific text is easier to read if the information is presented in a precise and concise way. What is a precise and concise way? I will go a little bit into this. First of all, let's discuss redundancy. So redundancy means the repetition of the same meaningful words in a single sentence. It is an unnecessary part of the sentence structure. Redundant words or phrases do not contribute to the meaning, rather than removing them improves readability. It should be avoided during structuring a sentence. So redundancy, basically it's like you want to increase the length of the sentence, but at the same time you just sacrifice the readability and the important point that you want to convey through your writing. So we should always avoid this such type of words. Now let's go to some examples. For example, in a chemistry paper, if you say that the resultant liquid was purple in color, so in this sentence we can also say that the liquid was purple. So the idea is that the reader will understand what you want to say, but the sentence is so simple. Also, the second example is various modifications of the procedure have recently been developed. So you can simply say this like the procedure was recently developed. No need to talk about various modification of the procedure or something, but you just say that this procedure was recently modified. So the compound exhibited a competition with the ligand for binding. So the compound competed with the ligand for binding. So also you need to focus on the active or passive voice of the sentence. Sometimes bringing back and forth some words can increase the readability of the sentence. Also, in another example, we can see that antibody was added to each individual sample for labeling. So at the same time, you can just say samples were labeled with antibody. So you can clearly see that on the right side of the screen, the sentences are conveying the same message, but at the same time, they are more simple and easily understandable and easily readable. How can we reduce redundancy? So some common example of redundant phrases are like small in size or large in size, true facts, basic fundamentals, past history. So you can say like small, so size, it will always be like small or large, so you no need to mention size, you just say small, they are small, they are large. Also true facts, so true and facts both are the same, like if it's a fact, so it should be true. Also basic fundamentals, so fundamentals are always basic in the same meaning like past history, so history is always past. Happily smile, so smile and happy convey the same meaning. Evolve over time, so evolution and over time, they both mean the same. So if something is small, it's always small, don't need to take on in size for clarification again, so don't repeat the same meaning words. Also some example of unnecessarily verbs. So shouted loudly. So adverbs are often the source of egregious redundancies and one should be careful not to overuse them. If one noticed that writing includes an inordinate amount of ly verbs, then one might need to examine writing more closely. For example, like jumped quickly, so no need to use the ly words, like say words that are ends in ly, so don't overuse adverbs. Also some important tips are like emphasize with care, avoid phrase like exactly the same, absolutely essential, extremely significant and very unique, so don't say the same thing twice. Like completely eliminate, end result, basic, essential, etc. Avoid double negatives like not unlikely, not insignificant, so they just are double meaning words but it's repeated. Also you need to be precise, not vague, use specific numbers instead of many, a number of, several, etc. Eliminate redundant words and phrases due to the fact that, in order to determine, etc. Now, how can we improve conscience and clarity? Eliminate unnecessary determiners and modifiers. So, any particular type of dessert is fine with me. Any dessert is fine with me. So, particular type or any, they convey the same meaning in this sentence. So, you don't need to use particular type. You just say any. Being able to balance the budget by Friday is an impossibility without some kind of extra help. So balancing the budget by Friday is impossible without extra help. Any kind of or some kind of, so it just conveys the same meaning. So you no need to use them. Change phrases into single words. For example, the employee who has lots of ambitions. So the ambitious employee. So who has a lot of ambition? You can just simply modify that and replace it with the ambitious. The department that is showing the best performance, so again you just say the best performing department, you just change that a long phrase into a single word. So you should always look for such type of words that you can replace. Again, change unnecessary that, who and which clauses into phrases. Suppose the report which was released recently, so the recently released report. So no need to use which, who or that, etc. Avoid overusing expletives at the beginning of the sentence. For example, it is the governor who signs or vetoes bill. So the governor signs or vetoes bill. So again, it's just you don't need to use which, who or something like that. Again, use active rather than passive verbs. For example, an account was opened by Mrs. Sims. So Mrs. Sims opened an account. You should always use active voice, not use passive voice. Also omit words or phrases that explain the obvious or provide excessive detail. For example, it goes without saying that we are acquainted with our policy on filing tax returns and we have every intention of complying with the regulation that you have mentioned. So we intend to comply with your tax return policy and regulation. So you just see like the whole sentence was concised into just a few words, but it conveys the same meaning if you think about it. So you no need to rephrase all the sentences using simple words. Again, the next topic that we will discuss is that what are the main reasons that research papers are rejected. So it can be divided into two parts. One is editorial reasons. The manuscript does not fall within the journal's aims and scope. So before submitting a research paper, you should clearly read what are the aims and scope of the journals, which is available on the journal homepage. Also, writing is incomprehensible, extensive use of jargon or poor English grammar. Because most of the international or the SCI journals are English language journals, so you need to comply with the English grammar. For example, journals want manuscript to be written in the simplest way possible, thus ensuring that they are easy to understand, because the target audience can come from any background. For example, you are submitting a paper, so the target audience can be from Brazil, from Mexico, and then from China, from Japan, or from the English native countries such as USA or Australia. So all of them should understand what you want to convey in your manuscript. Now, coming to the technical reasons, what can be the technical reasons which the paper can be rejected? So the technical reasons, the first one is the unclear hypothesis. For example, the hypothesis is a statement made by a researcher based on research done in the past. Then based on her work, the hypothesis is proven right or wrong. So, what is your hypothesis of the work? You need to clearly mention that in your introduction, in the introduction section of your manuscript. Also, lack of supporting results. So, after stating your hypothesis, you need to provide supporting evidences that the hypothesis I made, is it true or is it false? So you need to give a clear evidence in the form of your results. So stating your results and then do correct analysis of those results and comparing it with the literature. So research doesn't add value to the journal. Poor analysis, wrong search methodology, inconclusive results, violation of research ethics, etc. They all fall within the technical reasons that the paper can be rejected. So in summary, today we discussed about the redundancy in manuscript and what are the reasons that papers are rejected. So if you have any question, you can write them in the comment section and subscribe to my channel. See you in the next video. Thank you for listening.